let's kick things off. So, Kristen, tell me a little bit about yourself, your role at in the Spokane Public School District.
Okay, I am Kristen Rabold. I'm a part-time kindergarten teacher at Sheridan Elementary, so I do a job share with Andrea Homburg, and so she does the beginning of the week, I do the end of the week, but I've been there for, I guess, 8 years now.
So you guys are returning to class here tomorrow. I was actually covering the Central Valley School District, their first day back on Monday. So fun seeing all the kiddos.
Yeah, I know they're going to be excited.
I wonder what your initial thoughts are about making the return, and this is kind of that first step of students being back in the classroom. What do you think about that?
I think that's where we want kids to be. You know, that from the time we got shut down in March, we've wanted to be back in the classrooms. Of course, there is anxiety around all of the new protocols that we're going to have to follow, and there's a lot to think about, but ultimately, I think that kids are going to really benefit from being back in the classroom, especially at schools like Sheridan. You know, the demographic that we serve, those kids gain so much from the actual building.
So I know a concern we heard a lot among parents was keeping that mask on. So I wonder, what sort of strategies will you use to educate kindergartners about wearing their masks and trying to keep them on?
Well, I think, you know, at this point, it's become pretty normal for most of them. So most of them have had practice. Just with anything, modeling is going to be our best strategy. When they see their teacher wearing it appropriately and staff members around the school wearing it appropriately, they're going to kind of follow suit. I think we doubt them, and they're always ready to perform. They're excited to be there, and you know, they want to do their best. So I don't think it'll be a huge issue.
I know Dr. Swinyard had mentioned kind of in that initial announcement that, hey, we're going to start phasing them back in. He was saying our teachers are really the role models, and there's routines that you guys walk them through, these little ones. And he said, this is just wearing masks. It's just going to be that new routine that they're going to have to incorporate. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with any new school year, you're going to spend the first, month, the first at least 2 weeks really hammering in those routines and procedures. And so this is just going to be, another thing on our list of how they do school and what we're expecting. So just another thing to add to teach them those first few weeks.
So how will you or even your peers be managing social distancing in the classroom?
So we have a lot of things in place. The custodians went in this summer. We removed all of our furniture from our classrooms this summer. And then the custodians went in and they measured out the 6 feet of distancing and marked spaces on the floor. So we know exactly where each child needs to be so that they can be safe in the classroom. In the hallways, at Sheridan, we have vinyl dots on the floor that are 6 feet apart so that we can help them to maintain spacing in the hallway. Another idea we've had is like a rope for them to hold as we're moving through the building with, handles 6 feet apart, just to get them. Kindergartners are not the greatest at walking in line at the beginning of the year. So to keep them spaced out and just a visual reminder of, okay, I need to keep this much distance from the friend in front of me. So a lot of little things. We have things for drop off and pick up where each family will have a space to stand. And so lots of little things that are already mapped out.
Will there be any mask breaks? And if there are, what will that look like?
So of course, when the kids are eating, so at Sheridan, every child gets breakfast and lunch. And so breakfast, lunch, snacks, obviously they can be in their space 6 feet apart from others with their masks off to eat. But as far as other mask breaks, those will be done outside, and it'll be the same thing. The kids will need to keep that 6 foot distance, but then they can remove their mask for a little bit. We'll have them put them on when we're ready to either go back in the classroom, or another option is if they're playing on the playground and say they're hot, they want to take a break, there will be a designated space for them to step into, take their mask down, and then go back with their mask on to rejoin and play.
So will it be kind of essentially during those recess scheduled times when they're outside, or will there be additional outside time to do that?
So we have quite a few. So we have a morning recess scheduled, a lunchtime recess scheduled, and an afternoon recess. So we'll for sure have those times where they can, but obviously if our students are, we see a bunch of them grabbing at their masks or having a hard time keeping them on, that would be our cue to take another break outside. And that's been communicated really clearly from the district, is that you do what you need to do to keep your kids safe. And if they need an extra break, that's okay to take an extra break. So
not a hard and fast, all right, it's 12 o'clock, but playing
right.
it by ear based on kind of what the need is of the class.
Right.
That's awesome. So then I guess you kind of already touched on this. So then what will recess versus lunch look like?
So recess is each class is a cohort, and we have 3 kindergarten classrooms. They won't be able to mingle at recess. However, they can be out at the same time, but they'll have different areas of the playground to play in. So maybe one cohort is on the grass, one is on the big toy, one is on the blacktop. And so we can make sure that our own class is staying where they need to be. Lunch, we won't be going through lunch lines or anything like that. Lunch will be delivered to the classrooms, and the kids will stay in their spots in the classroom. If it's nice, we could take them outside as long as they're, spaced apart. And but yeah, lunch will be delivered to us. So we won't be doing a lot of hallway walking. We won't be going through the lines and grabbing our own trays and things like that.
That's good. And with the 3 classes with those designated areas, will it then maybe rotate depending on when that space gets used? So it's not, this is Adam's class has the play toy. Like that was my first
Sure.
thought.
Yeah, and I don't know how it's not a set thing for each school, but at our school we're doing like my class will be on the big toy in the morning, they'll be on the blacktop during lunch recess, and then in the grass in the afternoon. So each day they'll get a chance to be in all 3 areas.
So then I know I was kind of asked this at the beginning, but how do you feel about returning to that in-person instruction?
I'm excited. I'm excited to see the kids. I know that it is going to be very different. A typical kindergarten classroom, you have so much pretend play, and the kids are in the kitchen playing, and they're doing sensory bends, and they're interacting so much with their peers. And so it's definitely, there's been a lot of thought put into how we can still make it enjoyable and fun for them. But it's going to be very different. So I think there's some nervousness about that, but overall excitement. I think we're just excited to see our kids back in person.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what I heard in the other district as well, all around kind of being able to see those kiddos for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. So what is something that as a kindergarten teacher you would like parents to know who are prepping for their child returning to class tomorrow?
I think probably 2 things. Number 1 is that no matter what the school year looks like, teachers' first job is to keep those kids safe. And we're going to do the same thing this year. That is our ultimate goal, is to keep each of their children safe. And then the other thing is that this is all going to be a learning process. So we're trying to think through everything that we can right now. But I know there are going to be things that we didn't think through, or that come up and we're like, oh yeah, we've got to figure out a plan for this. And so I would say just patience and understanding that this is new for all of us. And so just to have that grace for each other.
Awesome. Anything else you'd like to touch on that kind of hits on the head for me, but anything else that you might add to say, I guess, what to expect on the first day? What is that going to look like for you guys?
So the first day, we'll be outside to greet the kids like we always will. And it'll be a little bit different as far as we're not going to be touching and hugging and doing all that type of stuff. But yeah, we'll have those routines and procedures in place, and we'll start teaching those right away. It'll be nice to have since we're doing the AB schedule for a couple of days, it'll be nice to have a smaller group so that we can really just hit home all those procedures that they're going to be following.
And does it, forgive me, I still need to refresh because I'm getting some of my districts mixed up, but with
Sure.
Spokane Public Schools, it's similar to the Central Valley District as far as AB split days, but then eventually move to a full day
Yep.
on the third.
So we'll do an AB rotation until October 19th. On October 19th, all of the kindergartners will be back every day from 8:30 to 2:25.
What do you think about that? I guess having that space to kind of slowly ease into it and then bring all the kindergartners in.
I think it'll be good. There's a lot to teach procedure-wise in any given year, and so I think those smaller classes, those first few days, will really give us time to be intentional about teaching what this is going to look like this year, and just having eyes on every child. You know, when you have 8 or 9 as opposed to 20, it's going to be a lot easier to make sure that we're seeing everything those first couple of days.
And I know, the different grade levels don't necessarily interact a ton, but I wonder if and eventually those upper levels are brought back in as well, and kind of that phased approach. I guess, do you have any concerns about how that might affect the day for your students or anything like that?
I don't think so. At this point in the year, I think we'll mostly be in our classrooms. There's not going to be a lot of hallway travel. There's not going to be a lot of crossing paths with other people, because even specialist music teachers, PE teachers, they're all going to be in our classrooms. So our kids are not going to be traveling a lot through the building. I'm not too concerned about that.